Hello, everyone. Today, I'm talking about one of my favorite frameworks, that is Angular. And in particular, I want to explore the new resource API, so go through what we were doing to fetch data and what is like the new mental model that the Angular team are like going to take us with. So my name is Soumaya. I'm a senior software engineer, and I'm from Italy. I work from this small company in the north of Italy. I work mainly in front end with Angular, of course. And I do like IT and electronics, and I like to mix them together. So I think that every Angular developer has lived this. So imagine you want to fetch some data, and then you start like handling loading, and then handling some reloads, errors, and suddenly you are like 100-line code. So Angular async story has been like a fast-moving evolution. So what I wanted like to do is like get through what has been happening during this period. So we started with HTTP client and promises, and then we embraced the power of RxJS and with streams. And then we started simplifying these streams with async pipe and trying to do it directly in the templates. And then signals arrived and completely changed our mental model for state management. And now we have resource APIs that isn't just another thing that we need to update to, but it changed also our mental model for getting data. So what if there was like an async code that behaved like a signal? What if there was something reactive, trackable, and like more elegant as a simple computed, for example? So for me, there is like this pain of async state that is, it feels like it's something, everything tangled together. Like when we want like to manually handle states, we have like our success state, and then we have like our loading state, we have our error state, and are all tangled together. So what we have to manually manage is like Boolean as like is loading, is successfully, or like is error, and then we get out of the sync of what we are doing. I think it's a really mess of too many Boolean to manage, and to be careful to not have more of them like true at the same time as well. So what the resource API is promising us is like to have something that untangles all this mess, and that we can use it to simplify really our async logic. So let's start with some relatable pain, and I call this the observable jungle. It's not like that I don't love RxJS. I really love RxJS, but it's incredibly powerful, but for a simple fetch, sometimes is like too much to use, and we need something more simple to find ourselves like not handling too many things. So the big questions for me is, I just wanted like to fetch data. Why am I writing all these operators? Like I find myself using all the RxJS operators just to fetch one API call. So this is like my very big question, and how can I remove all the switch map, catch error, finalize, just to do one API call? So this is what we are used to we have like our classic way to get our fetch data and how we handle all the data that are coming from the server. So we want to simplify this. We have like the async pipe that is handling like the tree state that is loading, is error, is complete. And we want like these operations that are like these three booleans that not be we can do it like our old friends that we don't want to play with anymore. So when we are working with operators, we are just like adding operator, then operator. We have like merge map, switch map, catch error, finalize, and then like our code, it just look like abstract art, and your new junior developer is terrified to touch it. So we need something that feels like a computed, like a signal that is like read-only, and it just gives us the actual data that we want to show in our template for async operations. So I want to introduce the resource API that is a new, let's say, signal-first API that allows us to manage async data. So here there are like the magic words: no subscribe, no async pipe, no manual tear down. And it speaks the same language as a signal because it's actually a signal. So look at this. It is just resource, and it's just one signal. And they import, we just like import the resource. And what we do, we just like do our request, and we have like this constant user that is now a signal that contains the value, the loading state, the error state, and it's all in the same constant. We don't need like extra booleans. We don't need pipes. It's just one signal that gives us all the states that we need, and we just need to operate with one thing, and everything is managed by it. So now we have like a new mental model that we just do our request function, like HTTP GET, for example, and we feed into the resource. The resource manages the states and exposes a signal. And then we have like the template where we just read from the signal the actual data that we need to show. So everything you already know about signals applies with resource. It's just like a signal, but in this case, manage the async operations. And this is where all pays off, I think, because like we have like a really clean template, and we can use the new if blocks, and we just ask the resource what is the status. Inside the resource we have like status, that it will be like loading, error, or ready. If it's ready, we have the value. Otherwise, we can like manage if it's loading, we can like have a spinner, for example. If it's error, we show the error message. Otherwise, we show the actual value. And I think this is beautiful. So I will say it again, like the best async code is the one that you barely notice. So you are like doing all what we have usually doing in many lines of code, but in this case, it's like everything is managed by one single thing, and it's super clean, and it's actually give us the power to not have like code messed up in our project, because like, you know, in one component you don't have like just one fetching data, so you have like multiple, and imagine handling like different is loading for different different data that we are fetching. So for resource, I call it like we have an ice cream with 3 flavors. So we have the resource that is our pure async, that does like they do anything, pure async helper. And then we have httpResource that adds some nice helpers for the HTTP calls. And we have streamingResource that is for real-time data. So we have like these 3 that are slightly similar, but they have like some extra features that you can have while using them. So let's start with resource. This is like the basic one that we can use, and it will give it a request function that returns a promise or an observable, whatever you want. And we are fetching, in this case, we are fetching to-dos. So that's all it takes, like just the resource. Inside we are doing like our requests, and we are calling http.get in this case. And the to-dos variable is now a signal that's holding our data. So while every time that to-dos is changing, we see in our template the actual value change without like managing the data updating. And here we are, it's really powerful, but resource automatically tracks any signals and give us like the updated value. But what it happens when we have like, for example, const ID, that is user ID. In this case, if we are using ID directly, it will not update, because like what we update inside the resource is everything that we have inside the resource, so it will just update the user ID. So in this case, we will have in our template everything re-updated because it is inside the resource function. So for reloads, what we want, if we want like to add a manual reload, we can like get a .reload from our signal, and we can like call this method, and we just like call it, and we don't need like to create any subject or a pipe for it. It will just like recall the function, and it will update the data. And how we handle errors. So the resource will capture them with the error status. So we'll have inside, when the status is error, we can have inside error the message as well. So in our template, we can check if user status is error. So we'll find like a friendly message, and we can give like the user a way to find out what went wrong. And for that retry button that we have, it will call the user.reload, so we can actually retry, for example, to recall the function and see if in this case we can get like successful data. So second one, second flavor is httpResource. I call it like the lazy friend because it does the part that is like more boring. So it's like a tiny wrapper around a resource that is like a pre-configured for Angular HTTP client calls. So it will automatically unwraps the response for you, and it will just handle the HTTP error response. And it's like pure convenience for your data errors. So here we have like an example. The code is even shorter in this case because you just pass the http.get call directly inside httpResource, and we have like the same power of the resource API that we've seen, the resource that we've seen earlier, but in this case we are have fewer lines. And I think that's for the 90% of the data fetching that we need, you just need to use this one. So the last flavor is streamingResource. This one is a little bit special because it's for data that doesn't return one value, but streams in over time. So we are not just calling an API and getting a value, but we are calling continuously and getting continuously different responses. So I think servers and events, or WebSocket, or for live prices sensor data. It's really handy to use this one. This is an example. So you give it a function that returns an event source or a WebSocket subject, and that's it. So the updates signal will, let's say, update every time that a new updates came in from the server, and it also handled the opening and the closing of the connection for you. So you don't have to subscribe and unsubscribe, but in this case, it will handle everything for you. And I think it's like a dream for everyone that is used to use observable, how many times you forget to unsubscribe from your observable. I forget every time. So this is who was in the workshop yesterday knows that I really love IoT. So I've been using my own IoT project for exactly this. So I get live sensor data from an Arduino, and before it was a mess of streams with RxJS operators, but now it feels completely natural because with HTTP streamingResource, I can actually get the data just with inside a signal, and it will updates me the data without having to handle everything manually. So it's really fun also with different use cases. So this is a challenge that I want to do with you. So this is what our code used to look like. So we have RxJS that is playing here. So we want to refactor this. We have some destroy for subject, the reload subject, and then we have categories. So imagine that you have different categories. For each categories, you have different products. So we have categories, that is a behavior subject. Products is our observable that we will catch from the server. We have isLoading to handle if the data is not coming still. So to have products, what we are doing, we are going through categories. For each category, we are getting our switch map, which we are setting is loading for true, and then we are doing our HTTP GET call to get the information, all the data about the product. And then we have finalize. Once we have the successful result, we are setting is loading as false, and then we are catching the error in case of error, and then at the end, take until, it means when we all finished everything, we'll destroy our observable. So this is what we are used to do, right? So the result, if we want to clean this up, see how many lines we have compared to the other one. In this case, we just have category that is a signal. that can be changed. And then product is a signal that's called httpResource. We have our request. So the category that we need is calling the information from the signal. And then we just do our HTTP GET to save our information inside products. So you see, it's like really clean. And the component is half the size, half the code, double the clarity, I think, because like we don't have too many passages that are not like that needed. And this is what I'll be talking about. But before you just run and change all your code bases, I want to do like two gotchas that we need to be careful about when we are using the resource APIs. Because like resource APIs is like a signal. So if we have like user ID that is tracked inside the function of the request, in that case, it will be updated and we can actually use it in our template and it will update automatically. But if we have user ID outside of the request function, in that case, it will not track the change of the data. So the signal that we are like using in our template will not read the updates if we are updating it outside the function, the request function. So be really careful about this because I've seen a lot of people doing this mistake. So let's try to use the actual signal that we want to use directly inside the request function. The second one is the dot value. So if we want like to show our value inside our template, we need to be careful that the status is actually ready. Because if the user status is loading, for example, user.value will crash because we don't have any value if the user is still loading. So be careful and always make like a conditional statement and be careful that you are in the right status. So ready is the status where it's actually successful. So check the status and then print the value in your template. So this is like the two most common errors that I see when there are resource API involved. So let's do a mini quiz. So we have our signal dependency. So what happens if a signal dependency changes? So A, nothing. B, a resource reloads automatically. C, app crashes. What is it? What? I can't hear you. B, yes. So it reloads automatically, and I think we've got the points now. So remember all like that tangled mess that we were talking about at the beginning with all like the booleans. So it gives us three clear states now. So we have ready, loading, and error, and all mingled, managed by our consistent API, that is the resource API. So the difference between resource and RxJS in this case is that we have like more human async management that can help us without like managing it manually. So what I usually say, this is not actually killing RxJS. So we still like, I think it's like still the king of event streams. We have like UI interactions and advanced stream manipulation. In that case, I think that RxJS is still like the best thing to use. The resource API is not a replacement to RxJS, but it's more a specialized tool for asynchronous statements. So it makes, let's say, the 80% of the casing fetching data more human readable again. So this is like my new mantra is like RxJS is more for streams, resource is for states. So just remember that resource is for states, and RxJS we can continue using it for like streams. They are like complementary, so keep them both, but know which are the right use cases for one or the other. So this is like an advanced question. Where should my resource live? So should we put it inside the component or inside a service? And the right answer is always, it depends. It depends because like for like shared state, if we have like some shared state inside our project, in that case, like we can put the resource inside a service, and in that case, we can inject the service into the components that we actually need. But if you have like a simple and like a local state, you can like put it right inside your component. And this is like make it a powerful tool both for local and global states. So it depends on where are you using it. If you have like one state that can be used in different points of your project, just put it in a server so it's more like clean, or so you keep your components clean. So this is the big picture. This is the foundation of modern Angular, I think. Signals is like for reactive atoms, let's say. Resource is for async states. And then we have templates that just react based on the data that are coming from these two powerful APIs. And I think it's really powerful and really simple also to understand in comparison to old model way that we used to use Angular. So Angular is changing a lot and is going through like some really easy way to understand, and also like the barrier for like beginners that wants to start using Angular, I think it's coming lower and lower because of these new mental models that are simplifying the way that we need to manage our components. So if we have seen like the evolution from the manual subscribe to the helpful async pipe that we use inside the templates, and now we have like a full reactive signal native resource. So I think the future of Angular is like reactive design, and this is like a huge step forward compared to what we are used to. So some takeaways. We have like resource for async logic. We have httpResource for most of the requests that we are doing to our server. We have streamingResource for real time. And I think the big one is that your async logic is simple and clean again, and you now know how to think in signals also with your async code. So use signals for data, but also for async operation. So I can see this. We happily unsubscribed successfully, and now we have like no subscription, no async pipe, no problems. Thank you.